Um, so everybody should be back by now. Again, welcome to the Online Debate Championship June Edition Grand Finals. Um, Before we get right into it, again, congratulations to the teams that have made it to the finals. Um, it was hard since yesterday, very tiring, but yes, congrats. I would like to leave the stage to receive the head judge to give opening remarks or like what the judges expect from the finals, and then we can start. So Lucy.
Good morning, everyone. A big congratulations to the teams that made it to the finals. And as we proceed, I would like to wish everyone good luck and make sure that you all respect your roles or your speaker roles. And we're going to use the time of 5:44. And then after that, you're going to have 3 minutes to prepare for the reply speech and 4 minutes to deliver. Yeah, may the best team win, unless you guys have any questions before we proceed. Right, so I take that as if you don't have a question. So I think we can, one of the team members can say the motion and see if the other team has the same motion, and then we can proceed. Rusumo, someone from Rusumo can tell us the motion, please.
The motion of today states that this House supports a one-state solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict of political parties.
Kagarama, do you have the same motion?
Oh, sorry, I misread the motion. This House supports a one-state solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Great.
I hope it could be great if they could just write in chat so that they all know that the debate, the motion that is being read is true. They could be sure if they write in charts. Thank you.
We need a confirmation from people from Kagarama, please.
Kagarama, can you hear from me? Maybe the connection is a problem, but
Lucy, you can proceed.
All right, welcome back again. And I'm not going to repeat everything I said. I hope that you guys heard me. We're going to use 544, and then after that, we're going to have 3 minutes to prepare for the reply speech and 4 minutes to deliver it. So if you have the same motion, which we do, please let the first speaker from the proposition side come. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Zozana Bero from the proposition side. In the end, the lasting two-state solution requires two credible partners and not just one side. Israel taking a superficial steps simply to placate toward the opinion author Edgar Bronfman. It is because we agree with Edgar Bronfman that we are proud to propose the motion resolve this out to support a one-state solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict of political parties. After framing the context and burdens of the debate, I'll be introducing our first and second substantive argument. My partner Jisa will introduce our third, and Musinguzian will be dealing with all the rebuttals and as well as the constructive argument. On framing this debate at its core is a debate about the high chance possibility of whatsoever approach that has made the solution to Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I want to introduce key definitions. Support means to agree with and give encouragement to someone or something because you want him or her to succeed. A one-state solution refers to a resolution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict through the creation of a unitary federal or confederate Israeli-Palestinian state, which would encompass all of the present territory of Israel, the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and possibly the Gaza Strip and Golan Heights. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is one of the world's most enduring hostilities with the Israeli occupation of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip reaching 54 years. We believe that team proposition is tasked with proving that the one-state solution does not only prove to be practically justifiable, but also attainable in terms of attaining essentialities like respect of human rights to those in need and also attain harmony. Team opposition must provide a determined affirmative approach regarding the one-state solution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Our stance as team affirmative is that the one-state solution is possible and visible rather than the two-state solution that is possible but not visible as well as unrealistic in terms of visibility. Our first substantive argument is a continuous failure of the current status quo. Our characterization acknowledges that if a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is unreachable, it is time to consider alternatives. The one-state option seems to be front-runner, competing only with the continuation of the untenable status quo. The idea is already on the table in Arab and the Israeli circles and open to debate. Today, it appears as the only workable alternative to the two-state solution, which has prevailed since the partition resolution of 1947. There is no sign of an implementation of the two-state solution on the horizon, and if it were attempted, it would resemble a surgical operation with a great deal of blood loss. This is our analysis. Firstly, for nearly 3 decades, the so-called two-state solution has dominated discussions of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but the idea of the two-state for two peoples the territory both occupy was always an illusion. And in recent years, reality has set in, the two-state solution is dead and good liddance. It never offered a realistic path forward. The time has come for all interested parties to instead consider the only alternative with any chance of delivering lasting peace equalized to Israelis and Palestinians in a single shared state. Still, the main objection do not diminish the fact that the status quo and ongoing occupation create a volatile situation with all the conditions for uprising resistance, and at times full-scale war. If the two-state alternative to the status quo is unavailable or impossible, then the one-state alternative could be laid out with solution for the various objectors on both sides. For example, the majority or minority question could be dealt with by means of constitutional ways that would render vital matters subject to minority veto. A two-thirds majority vote, or some combination. Therefore, concentration, excuse, a pause.
People from Rishon, I don't know what just happened, but you had 1 minute left. All right, let's call upon the first speaker from the opposition side.
Can we continue? Sorry. It was a connection
right.
problem.
You have 1 minute.
For example, the majority and minority question could be dealt with by means of constitutional ways that will render vital matters subject to minority veto. A two-thirds majority vote or some combination thereof Consociation democracy, in which power is shared between both groups, can create a framework that permits all ethnic and religious groups to exercise their rights and participate in the state. And if such a solution to 100-year-long conflict appears idealistic, over-optimistic, and moreover incompatible with the current balance of power, especially as there is no one in the Israeli political elite prepared to discuss the subject, there remains the possibility of a confederal solution. This would give each side its state, but would also allow for a single capital for both in Jerusalem. Perhaps the path to a single state of a new sort, this would ensure that the Palestinians in Israel and Israeli settlers in the West Bank would act with respect to their own political concerns within a single economic and security framework that meets both of their needs. This is because we allow and believe in a one-state solution, since it's not a fantasy within reality that we are proud to propose.
Let's call upon the first speaker from the opposition side.
First speaker from Kagarama Secondary School, unmute your microphone.
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, you can
Sorry.
start now.
Okay, I can start right now. I am Kawandana Krim from the opposition side, opposing the motion that states that this House supports a one-state solution for the Israel-Palestinian conflict. I accept the keyword and going to restate or define the keyword, which is a one-state solution, by the state a resolution of the Israel-Palestinian conflict through the creation of a unitary federal or confederate Israel-Palestinian state. And besides, even if you go to the internet and search the one-state solution, they give you this definition. Okay, which takes me to one thing. These are the two countries that have never went to terms. These countries can't even sit in the same place and define, get a solution to their problem. And you're talking about making them a one state. That's to mean they're going to share the same constitution, same army, same leaders. And tell me how these two countries are going to share that thing, even when they can't even handle being in the same room for just 30 minutes, now making them a one state. That's a problem. The second thing, so you making them a one state, either it has to be either a big Palestine or a big Israel. So what is it going to be? I'm asking you guys, what are you going to make it? Are you going to make it a big Palestine or a big Israel? And tell me, which of the countries is going to accept giving up the independence and going under the leadership of another country? Of course, that's not going to be impossible. People, for you to support something, you have to support something that is executable. So why are you supporting something that is unexecutable in the first place? Besides, you're talking about you supporting something, a one-state solution. So who are you? Who are you? For you, in what position are you to support? Are you the UN? Who are you in the first place? I need you to tell me who you are in the first place to suggest or support this one-state solution, so as we can consider this. Besides, you talked about that other solutions that are given in the first place have failed, and besides, the one-state solution is the only solution that is left in the first place. So tell me, what guarantees me that after all the solutions that have failed, is the one-state solution is going to make it happen? Is going to solve the problem that is between these people? First of all, and again, another thing, I expected the affirmative side to come and tell us the reason for the conflict in the first place. If you really read correctly, the reason for the conflict is not just land. These people, they're long-term enemies. From the Bible to the religions. What is some Arabs, others are Jewish. These people never went along. Besides the problem of land, they never went along. So I expected you to support that. Besides, you talked about how this solution is attainable. Besides, it's going to bring harmony and human rights. But how is that going to be? Besides, if you know very correctly, these people, the Israelites, have been denying the Arabs to go to their mosques, some of their mosques, which we do not even mention. That was your job to show that. These Israelites are denying the Arabs to go in their mosque. So those people are denying their rights. So tell me how those people are going to, how you making them one state is going to make them respect their others' human rights. And besides, what guarantee do you give us that after this one state solution, there is going to be harmony? I mean, these people have even have refused a two-state solution, which was dividing the land between the two people. So if people refuse to divide the land, now you're telling me to give it to them, but when they're sharing profits, what they don't want is sharing the same land. They don't want to share land. Now you're not even going to give them some piece of land to share, but we're going to make them a very big one country, something that is never going to happen. So I want to give you some burdens, I want to give you, examine. Sorry? I give you time. Examine the possibility and visibility of the one-state solution. People, we don't get the possibility and visibility of your one-state solution. We don't see how this is going to happen. So yes, you said this. You said about it being the only left alternative. But tell me. But I need you to show me. I mean, your implementation is very wrong. We don't see how your implementation is going to work. Your implementation is not going to work. And the second, I am giving you the second burden. Another burden is specify how with one-state solution there will be a unitary federal confederate state of whatever you're going to combine. So the second, another burden is to what extent is the affirmative side show of the states that the states will take for the one state, that the states are going to take the one state solution. How sure are you that they're going to take it? And besides, how is the affirmative side solving issues regarding ethnicity, religion, and culture? Otherwise, they're going to respect human rights. So, dear judges, please consider everything and arrest my case.
POI, please. Okay. Judges, can we start?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, I go by the names of Gisa, coming as a prop side. Thanks for although she denied me my POI, but I can forego that. Like, I want to start by saying that who knew that US could come on the same table with Iraq? Who knew that Germany and France could sit on the same tables? Who knew that Hutus and Tutsi could be under one governance? You get it? That's summing all her answer up. Yes. Then I can go with a concrete evidence showing them that making it one state solution. Please quote me right. It is one state solution, not one state situation. You get it? There is a difference between those two. But making it, I'm advocating for more human rights, unless you need a bulldozer to advocate for that. But I'm advocating for more human rights. You get it? Where I want to eliminate or possibly eradicated the expansion policy of Israel. It's continuously expanding, leading to more conflict. That is one. Second of it, in one state solution, there is social benefits. Social benefits where it is becoming up one state, they're going to share resources and more others, you get it. Then if I can give you a trip back from the brief history, since 1948, we know that the Israeli-Palestinian, most of the times it came up with the Jewish Zionism, but the Jewish Zionism also comes back to considering a state solution, not one situation. You get it? Then if I come up with another argument telling her that when we are advocating for human rights, we wanted to promote the eradication of denial of citizenship of Palestine. You get it? Where Palestinians are being denied the citizenship in Israel, you get plus we want also to promote the sharing of the historical background, since it also becomes a major emphasis in their conflicts. You get it? When we are advocating for a one-state solution, please try to engage in critical thinking. Just think out of the box. If you can't tell me, like, you can't provide a clear guidance rather than one situation, it still remains to one situation as the possible, because the two other situations have been in pre-existing. You get it? Have been pre-existing, and then they haven't provided any possible solution. So with my 3 or 4 arguments of coming with a social benefit, human rights, plus the sharing of the historical background, I feel like it's a good belief and it gives it more a 99% of being achieved. Then the other, as my precurrent speakers spoke about the conditions in the conflict, we know that she came up with a question of saying that like what's the possible measures. the possible measures, it's within the motion, you get it. The possible measures we are coming up with, like, it's one state solution, If you are denying us one state solution, I would like to give you a burden of telling us what are you advocating for? Where is the UN? Sorry, we are the UN as the solution of the question. If I'm possible, I rest my case. If there is any POEs, cross them over, please. If there is no, I rest my case. Thank you so much.
Right. Second speaker from the opposition side, please.
Good evening, good morning, dear judge. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm the second speaker from the opposition side. I go by the names of Wanyedina. I would like to first emphasize on the definition of a one-state solution. A one-state solution, this is the, A one-state solution it is a resolution of the Israel-Palestine conflict through the creation of a unitary federal or confederate Israel-Palestine. That means that it's either a one Israel or a one Palestine. I would like to first ask you the proposition said, which country are you giving this whole country? Which country are you advocating for? Is it the Israel or the Palestine? And if it is the Israel, how are you sure that the Palestinians are going to allow for it? And if it is the Palestinians, how sure are you sure that they are going to advocate for the Israel to control them? And second of all, how is the leadership under a binational solution be solved to the current government? And the other one, interrogate the success of the narrative. And the other one, you said about that, who knew that we think out of the box and who knew that Hutu and Tutsi would become one? Please, I would like to inform you that Hutu and Tutsi are Rwandans. They share the one country, one language, and they share one common country. And here we're talking about two countries that share totally different things, either the region, either the culture, either the language, and either the everything. There are two different countries that are going to engage. And second of all, we're talking about Belgium and France. Belgium and France are two different countries, but on two different lands. So we were uniting them on their separate lands, making them different and independent countries. And here we're going to make one state in two different countries that don't have any other thing. And second of all, crash setting on the same table. Did you even integrate the idea of restorative justice? And second of all, there is no vivid evidence you are submitting on how they will cooperate. And second of all, you said it is advocating for the human rights. Dear judge and dear opponents, are you serious that you're advocating for the human rights? Human rights is when one person is living in a comfortable life.
Please.
One country not allowed, but I'll give you time. Like making one country under another,
please.
Making them their human rights violated. I would like to give you an example. Now in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, human rights are being violated by Israel are violating the human rights of Palestinians, which makes no sense if we put them under them to make them to destroy their human rights. And you're saying that you're advocating for the social benefits. If you're advocating for the social benefits, you're also making them decline because you're going to raise more conflicts and more wars between them. And second of all, another thing I'd like to give the associated aspects of one-state solution, such as religious conflicts, Israel Christians and Palestinian Christians. Internal conflicts, the difference in cultures such as language, beliefs, and ways of living that are different. So I will saw the affirmative side. Assure us how these two countries will cooperate and live in peace. Which country will be in control of the other? I would like to emphasize on that. Which country will control the other? What are the conditions necessary to come to make a confederation or unitary state? And
please.
Not allowed. Please I'll give you time. Okay, what's your POI?
So basically, team opposition side is just saying that this is an impossible case. Like my first speaker said, what's your alternative in the set?
Advocating for anything. The only thing The only thing we're advocating for is that for you to go back and set another thing that is applicable and achievable for us to take. We want you to bring us something that will be able for us to support, something that will be more activable other than the one state solution. And if it's the one state solution, make it be able to be practiced in it is just how it is going to be able to be in the how these two countries are going to be in the same country in the same way and live. And I would like to ask you that how should if you are the UN, in what position are you, if it is going to be the person that will take control of this country, how sure are you that the person is going to accept when the person is not even in the UN members? And second of all, if it is Israel, don't you think you're being attacked for this, not allowed to give them? And now down a step by step on how you are going to get the one state solution, how you're going to make these people be a one state solution. And please show, there's nothing that is 100%, but please show us how it is going to be how you're going to do it step by step, making them a one state. I want you to, I'm really emphasizing on this. Please show us how you're going to how you're going to give it how you're going to show us the step by step how you're going to make it a one state solution. I really want to hear that. And if you are the UN, are you up? Oh, thank you. I rest my question.
Hey, okay, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ian Singus, the speaker from the affirmative side. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, today's debate was all about the impossibility that actually the team opposition are actually bringing at the state. But ladies and gentlemen, it is said that if a man can't manage his time for what he wants, that means he's no man with goals. He's just a kid with wishes. Ladies and gentlemen, team opposition side is just wishing for, for these miracles like we're still living in Eden, ladies and gentlemen. Mind you, the two-state resolution was put at the table and in practice and has been there for almost 50 years, and there's nothing like a resolution that has been brought at the table, ladies and gentlemen. So my second speaker said that why we're advocating for the one-state solution, because it's the only solution that is there. And mind you, as he said, we are now in a one-state situation because they're already fighting, ladies and gentlemen, because Israel still has the settlement projects. And if we don't make it a one-state solution, that means that Israel will continuously fight. This is an advantage, a competitive advantage for the Israelis actually continue fighting for the land of the Palestinians. So that means at the end of the day, at the end of 50 years, at the end of 40 years, that means it will still be a one-state solution. Now, the point is this: will it be a one-state solution through people dying in the fight for so? What the things we are going to come down in two terms? It's just because the precarious speaker did not give me any point of information with a lot of burdens is the reason I'm going to answer this. One, it being a possibility and a visible plan at the table in the UN makes it a most possibility, because we said, let's give it a chance, because they're trying to tell us that it's not possible for people to come and sit at the table. And mind you, they had the wrong quote of the Tutsis and Hutus. The reason we gave that example is because it's in the harmony umbrella. We said the Hutus and Tutsis were able to come together, not in a state of a country, but in a state of understanding each other. That means it's a possible. Who knew that in the 1994 the genocide could stop? No one. That's why we're saying, should we leave people fight for? Not allowed, not allowed. So should we leave this to be actually that continuous problem that we're saying that people are dying, and then now they're trying to say that we should go back, come up with a good resolution, and then bring it back at the table. But the point is, if we go back, this is giving time for Israel to kill more Palestinians, ladies and gentlemen. So their main question was like, who are we going to give this state to? The people are going to give this state to both states, because all of them will have leadership, like my first speaker said in his speech, through the government state positions. But Israel will have a greater portion, because Israel is the one that is actually doing this for the Palestinians. Now, the question that I would like to impose to the opposers is this: should we leave people die in the fight for some dream that, or some wish that Team Akagrama is also advocating for in the first place? Now, ladies and gentlemen, they gave us an argument of saying, why didn't we think about the restorative justice approach? Ladies and gentlemen, the team opposition side know on what grounds does this approach actually even work in the first place? Because the restorative justice system works in people, first of all, not allowed, ladies and gentlemen, because you actually denied me the point of information that also long wanted for. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's not try to blindfold ourselves in the belief that it's an impossibility. It's a possibility, because if genocide was able to stop, that means this also killing can't stop. So if Israel and the US can sit at the same table, this means these people also can sit at the same table. So what we are saying as Team Affirmative is, let's save those citizens who are dying in the process, ladies and gentlemen, because if two elephants fight, ladies and gentlemen, the grass will go in the process. No, let's first save these girls, ladies and gentlemen, and other conflicts will be, other resolutions will be got in the last minute. I reserve my point of information for the Team Kagarama. Across.
Yeah, we
blame
will
my time. Okay.
Why does the UN stand in the best position to solve this? Even
Do you know? Okay. Do you know why the UN is stepping up for this, ladies and gentlemen? The reason as why the UN is stepping up for this. First of all, Israel is in the UN committee, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of our states, ladies and gentlemen. The second thing, one of the reasons as why the UN was put in place is to fight for the human rights, of which the core human right is to serve people, no matter the case, no matter the situation. Let's serve people. Resolutions later. Thank you. Any other question, please? Unless the opposition is actually opposing our plan, then you should tell us of what importance are people dying to.
Yes, there's a POI. Should we focus on only Israel even when the two countries are involved?
No, we're not saying we're focusing on Israel, ladies and gentlemen. No. We're just saying Israel has a more cooperative advantage on the Palestine, both in a geographical way and actually in a power way. All we're just saying is the reason we should intervene is because it's not Israel we're intervening. We're intervening for the Palestinians, the weak Palestinians who are dying. Because mind you, you're seated there at school debating a debate you don't know when people are dying, ladies and gentlemen. So let's not jump that, because if you're in this state of condition in Palestine, you would advocate for a plan. Any other question, please? No question, ladies and gentlemen. So all we're saying is that the reason as to why we told them we're advocating for the UN is just because the UN has to help people in whatever way. We don't want the scenarios that happen in Rwanda that just happen to other people, ladies and gentlemen.
Time's up.
I rest my case.
Should I start now?
Yes, you can start.
I'm the third speaker from the opposition side. This House supports the one-state solution for the Israel-Palestinian conflict. What the third speaker from the opposition side is quoting is that they want to implement the one-state solution because the two-state solution failed. But our problem is they're not providing a different idea of the implementation of the one-state solution, different from the implementation of the two-state solution, where the two-state solution was here to divide the land. The opposition side came here and said about sharing resources, and I would like to also indicate you that resources also include land. So you're sharing resources through the two different countries that have two indifferences when they failed to share these resources in the two-state solution. So I'd like to also, you did not consider the differences that these two countries have, the judges, religious indifferences, language and culture. They did not show us how these differences are not going to cause conflicts and chaos. And they also say their claims, their arguments are not showing us how their assurance viability. They're not showing us how this one-state solution is going to come and solve the Israel-Palestinian conflict. So what they're really focusing on is the genocide, how the genocide was able to stop. But they did not tell me how any implementations or any solutions that were put in place which failed, so that the genocide happened. But then there was also an arrangement where it took place. There was the resolution of the genocide. Also, the UN implemented the two-state solution, which failed, which is why the genocide stopped after the one solution. There was only one solution, which is why I tell you there is no assurance viability on your status solution. So what they're here saying, they're suggesting not finding a better solution. Instead, I'll give you time. They're suggesting not finding a better solution, instead solve quickly to reduce the killing. This is what is going to bring. This is what will happen. There's wars which will produce not because they don't share the land. There's going to be killings which will multiply. There's also economies which won't evolve. So how are you here telling me that one-state solution is a better implementation on the Israel-Palestinian conflict? It's not going to solve the conflict. It's going to solve the conflicts against the land, but it's not going to solve conflicts
against Israel and the Palestinians. You're not giving me the certification of the
POI,
prosecution,
please. POI, please.
which is what I'm
POI,
asking
please.
for. Dear judges, they're saying that Israel is dominant, is taking the biggest land. But I would like to also inform them that Israel was the first country to pose wars to Palestine. So I don't understand why the proposition side is coming here and telling me that Israel is the most
POI,
dominant.
please.
And you're also my first speaker and second speaker told you to give us a step by step how you're going to make this one-state solution a better and
POI,
more
please.
efficient than the two-state solution. You did not provide me that to the table, so I don't think I will consider that. You're also saying that history is good, but history does not relate to what you're saying, right? So
POI,
you
please. Okay, so basically you're trying to say just because Israel is dominant, we can't actually put our protection over the Palestinians. Is that what you're saying? And could you basically define to us what you mean by a better solution as in your terms?
Palestine is not good, right? You think Israel is the most dominant, which is why I give it to that. So what we're implying here is not.
No, you're sidestepping the argument here. You're sidestepping the argument.
You did not provide me vivid evidence on how this one-state solution is going to cooperate with the Israel-Palestinian conflict. So there is no way you're taking this debate unless you give me that. It's what I expected from this debate. It's what I expected from you as the opposition side. So dear judge, take a decision. Okay.
POI, please then.
So the time is up. You have 3 minutes to prepare for the reply speech and 2 minutes to deliver. No, I mean 4 minutes to deliver it. We're going to start from the opposition side. So time is up. We're waiting for the reply speech from the opposition side.
I thank you, the judges. I'm back for the reply speech. I'm Kawandana Queen from the opposition side, opposing the same motion, which is this house supports a one-state solution for the Palestinian-Israel conflict. So, so it's so absurd. It's so absurd and so bad that UN or the affirmative side is choosing the member states over Palestine just because they're a member state. So should Palestine rejoin the UN for it to seek justice? Should it? Actually, I don't know. So the affirmative side of the UN is not considering this thing. So we are on regret that Palestine is not put on the table so that it could be hard leaving the affirmative side or the UN take the unfair decisions without considering Palestine. So going on, we gave them a lot of burdens. Besides, before we got to burdens, they asked us what are we advocating for. We told them we're advocating for a better implementation of their plan, which they did not come back with another implementation, which means they're not taking a debate they're not taking a debate unless they're given us another implementation of their plan. Besides, we gave them a burden of very many questions. We also gave them a burden of showing us how step by step they are going to make this a one state, because we don't get it. Are they going to have the same president? Are they going to have the same army? We even asked them, are they going to have the same constitution, which they did not consider. They did examine the success of their proposal, yet the debate is about the possibility. They kept on comparing the genocide of Rwanda and this one-state solution. But here, Rwandans are one. They said that we told them that they share the same language, they share the same country, they share the same culture. But these are two people who don't even share the same religion, same country, same culture, same beliefs. They're two different people. They're giving us a case study of people who are different from what we're talking about for today. Besides, so what we even get them, how is this affirmative side being fair if they considering the needs and the fairness of the Palestinians? Besides, if you go and search anywhere, they're going to give you the Gaza Strip they're talking about, the Gaza Strip and the West Bank and the whatever land they talked about belong to Palestine. But here they are claiming they're going to give the domination or the big part to Israel. That's to mean they're treating Palestine unfair just because it's not a member state of the UN. So, dear judges, consider the fact that the affirmative side is not being fair in any way. So, in that reason, we even gave them another offer of going back and bringing back another implementation, which they did not do. So, we arrest our case, telling them until they're not taking the debate for today because they did not show us and give us what we needed for today. Thank you. I rest my case.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I said in the first speech, leaving us with no time to actually come up with the next plan that the opposition side actually continuously advocated, though regardless of how they failed to even listen to the proper plan that we had in place, because they continuously asked about the procedures. That left me with the question of whether they even had the first speech, because that's where all that was put in place, ladies and gentlemen. They continuously brought these arguments to prove that we're trying to just be a biased organization that is just on one side of the Israel. But they don't say this because the UN is not accepted to intervene in anything unless it has a member state in that thing. Now, specifically, that's why we say the reason why we're going to intervene in these situations, because we have a member country that is actually having wrong morals towards the situation. That's why we're going, because we do not say that Israel won't be punished. We say Israel will be punished, but what we're doing in the first place is let's first serve people, then that will come back later in the aftermath. Now, they ask for a better solution. When we ask them, what terms or what definition do you actually mean the better solution? Because now that means they put an algorithm or a system that we should depend on considering a better plan. We tell them a two-state solution was given a table and room to be put in place because they thought it was a better resolution, but it was in place for 50 years, and there's nothing like a better solution at the step. Now we told them that And they lied that they came up with those burdens. They had three burdens: the possibility and visibility, and how assure they asked us to what extent are we sure that these states will actually accept this, because we said, oh, Palestine will accept to these conditions. But then, in the end of the day, we asked them, whatever the end point of today's discussion, that means if Palestine doesn't accept with this, that means it will continuously lose its people to a point that it was actually what all its citizens. So the question is this: should we wait for more time and give Israel a cooperative advantage to continuously put in place its settlement projects, and in the end point, ladies and gentlemen, we lose citizens in the first place, we lose a nation, and we still have a one-state solution at the end of the point, which they actually never even tackled in the first place. They told us to take time and go back and brainstorm another plan. We told them, if we're to go back and come up with another plan, ladies and gentlemen, in the time frame, what resolution, like you, the opposition side, think will be in place that will help resolve the issue of people losing their lives? Let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to talk this out of political willingness, ladies and gentlemen. But then let's look at the citizens who are down on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at those the people who are dying, ladies and gentlemen. Now, they're saying that because if you make it one state, they will not actually understand each other because of the difference in culture and because of the. But ladies and gentlemen, it's better to fight someone over which God to pray with rather than fighting with countries over people who already died in the first place. So what we're saying is this: we're not saying that it's 100% effective plan, but at least it will have to help reduce and ease the problems that actually in the human rights violation over this issue, ladies and gentlemen. They actually told us that what are these states actually fighting for in the situation? And their third speaker wrongly answered that it's a conflict of land, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only a conflict of land, ladies and gentlemen, it's also a conflict of violation of human rights. Actually, violation of the right to have actually a national ID, which my first speaker said in her speech, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, team opposition side came with burdens which we accept were good, but then in the first place, did they even relate to the where these burdens very, very crucial to the arguments that we gave in the first place? Because the possibility and visibility issue, we say that's possible and visible because it's going to be done by a nation, not by an organization that we believe that is even possible to put it in place. Now, let's also rush back to the example of the Tutsis and Hutus. We did not say that the Tutsis and Hutus conflict situation is the perfect situation for the Israelites and Palestinians. No, we just said if these people were able to come in the same roof, ladies and gentlemen, just like the way the US and Iraq came in the same place, that means it's possible to put these people in the same place. It's even possible to have a resolution, because if we don't have citizens in the first place, that means there's no need of a resolution. If people die, we don't have people who have to actually put resolutions too. So do they need a rough route? We ask them, do we need a rough route where people will continuously fight and still Palestine will have to lose its land in the settlement projects and its citizens in the process, and then at the end of the day, there is no Palestine that means Palestine has a cooperative advantage to accept our solution to sit down in order to serve these people. But we remind you, ladies and gentlemen, if a country's first resources are its citizens, I rest my case.